Welcome back to Heroes Next Door. Thank you all for watching. Today we are doing a Station Cribs. We're in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. This is Millersburg Fire Company, station number 20. Let's go see what they have. As we're going inside, I want to point out just a little bit here outside. Where my truck is parked was their original site of their building. They tore that one down. They built the one across the street, which is now a museum, and then they built this station back in the 1980s. Up front here, they got a couple benches for the public to sit down in. They have a bell from one of their original engines, the 1922 American LaFrance, trying to preserve a little bit of history from the outside, but let's go see what they have on the inside. As I entered in the building, we're going to talk to one of their assistant chiefs, Sean Grimm. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for inviting us out.
Sure, absolutely.
You got a nice little firehouse here. Yeah. You got a lot of things going on in the town. As we were driving in, it's a very community-based town.
Absolutely.
So in this first room, what do we have here?
So this is what we call Dreer Hall, and it was named after a former president of ours back in the day.
Okay.
And originally this was a bingo hall. We can actually still see mounts up on the ceiling there where the old board was.
Right.
And after we started receiving a fire tax, the whole fundraising bingo sort of thing went away.
Okay.
And so now this is basically our main training room where we'll hold actual lecture classes, and we do everything from hazmat all the way up to interior firefighter. We actually just finished an entry-level series with a group going down to our local community college to do the live burn, but we did the entire series up here with local members who are State Fire Academy instructors.
Very nice to have.
Yep.
So I noticed in the room you got some things hanging up on the ceiling too. Is this considered an EOC also?
Yes, that is correct. So in times of disaster, which fortunately don't happen very often in Millersburg, this will be converted to our Emergency Operations Center.
Okay.
You can see we have the different positions here. We do follow the NIMS format, so we have it broken down by that. The room that's locked in here is actually our Emergency Management Agency office.
Okay.
I actually am the Emergency Management Coordinator for Millersburg and Upper Paxton Township. But yeah, this would be our main operations center at that point.
Okay. So do you have all the communications here too?
Yep, we actually have phone lines that drop in from the ceiling that are connected to the borough offices and the township offices.
Okay.
So folks can call into the normal borough or township phone number, and they'll be sitting here with us, and they can answer whatever questions need to be answered.
Right. And the other thing I noticed as we're walking back here, you have a small little kitchenette back here.
Yep.
So if you're having a big meeting or you're having some, big class or something like that, you have the ability to feed the people that need it.
Yep. We have a full kitchen facilities back here. We actually just did our Christmas party and had this thing cranking recently. So yeah, we can provide that. We actually used to have elections in this room as well.
Okay.
But operational needs necessitated that they go elsewhere.
Right.
So
do you teach classes to the outside public too? Do you do CPR or anything like that?
There's been talks about it. We haven't yet.
Okay.
But I do believe that may be something for the future.
Right.
Right now it's just our members and other mutual aid fire companies.
Right. Now, we did a company that was very close to this, had a common room. They did a blood drive also.
Okay.
So that's something that you guys maybe think about?
We actually did. In years past, we did have Red Cross come in with the blood mobile.
Yeah.
They'd have the mobile outside, but in here would be like the registration area and getting everybody ready to go out to give blood. So we have done that in the past.
So tell me a little bit more about Millsburg.
Okay, Millersburg, pretty much a sleepy river town. We used to have quite a bit of industry in town, and that's gone away like many other places.
Okay.
We have roughly 6,200 people split between Millersburg Borough and Upper Paxton Township. It's all kind of that 17061 zip code format, so everybody kind of works together real well.
Right. And how many members do you have on the roster here?
We have on the actual roster probably around 45 or so.
Okay.
Regular folks that come and run a lot of the calls, you're looking at about 25.
That's pretty normal for volunteer. You're 100% volunteer.
We are 100% volunteer.
Wow. So that's actually pretty good. So 6,500 residents, having 20 people show up for a regular basis, it is a good turnout.
Yep.
So it's a smaller firehouse. This was built back in the 1980s, right?
Yep. This building was built in 1983.
Okay.
The building, I don't know if you saw it on your way in, across the street was built in 1922.
Okay.
The original firehouse was actually in this side parking lot right here. And that was basically just someone's garage back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and we just had hand-drawn apparatus at that time, so it was we didn't need such a huge facility like we have now.
But because you guys are volunteers, you guys don't have bunks, you don't have any of those kind of things, but you got a pretty decent day room, right?
Yes. Yep. We can show you that.
Let's go take a look at that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good deal.
So to make our way up to the day room, we're going to cut through the engine bay and then go up the back stairs, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So before we do that, do us a favor, hit subscribe, hit notification so you can keep watching these videos, but also do us another favor. Share this video with as many people as you can. It helps us grow. We really appreciate it. So let's start heading upstairs.
All right, on this side here we have our office, and over here is a storage closet.
Okay.
If we look along the side here, we actually have a few pictures of our older apparatus.
So this is the building that's across the street
That's
in this
correct,
picture
yes.
here. Okay.
And that's the Moose engine I was talking to you about earlier. This engine was bought by the Moose.
Okay.
They can actually see the Moose logo on there. That was actually donated to us in 1948.
Right. And now your chief owns it?
Yep, our chief owns that and has it in his personal
Okay.
garage.
Wow.
So that's the old Han. The chief was just talking about how the lights were mounted up front, air horns off to the side.
Right, right. And those kind of engines fit in that little house across the street.
And that's kind of a unique piece. It was a chopped down cab. There weren't a whole lot of those made like that.
Right.
So it could fit in over there.
It's always nice to walk in for the newer generations to see some of the history that you come from. I've been in the service for 28 years now, and I've seen the changes that we've had over the years. And what we're trying to do is really promote this to the next generations to say, hey, volunteerism is still a thing. We need your help. And showing the history of what we come from is very important.
Yes, absolutely.
So having those up on the wall is really, really cool.
Yep.
So you guys also are recruiting for new volunteers all the time.
We're always looking for people.
How would the public be able to get a hold of you?
They can actually go to our website, millersburgfire.org. We actually have a fillable PDF application on there. So if anyone's interested, we're always looking for new volunteers in whatever capacity you can fulfill. I mean, if you don't want to run fire calls, we can always use behind the scenes help. So.
Okay. So you're not requiring any age requirements?
We do have a minimum age of 16 for our junior members. Outside of that, you can be as old as you want to be.
Gotcha.
If you can still mobilize and move, that's great.
Okay. So now you don't have bunks, but you have a very nice, large day room up here. So in here you got your couches, you got your entertainment system with your gaming systems. You got a lot of your trophies. These trophies are from parades?
Conventions and parades mainly.
Okay.
Going back through the year. We've pretty much gotten rid of all the kind of participation trophies that we used to have.
Okay.
This room, you could probably have filled the entire room with trophies, but we just kept the more important ones.
The ones you actually won stuff versus just participation.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So. Back here you have a pool table, you got a card table, lots of things to kind of hang out and create that ambiance of family. One of the things that fire services are really strong about are family-oriented kind of things. I was talking to one of your newer members, and his family's been in this for a long time too. And that's usually how people hear about it and those kind of things. But with social media nowadays, we're trying to reach those that haven't been able to, understand that volunteerism is still a thing. So that's kind of what we're doing. We appreciate you guys. It's like I said, it's a smaller firehouse here. It's not a huge $8 million station, but you're doing what's good for your community.
That's it. That's what it's about. It's all about the community. Alan Brunancini, famous Phoenix fire chief, always talked about Mrs. Smith, and that's what it's about. It's all about Mrs. Smith out there and doing what needs to be done for the the community safety and well-being.
Okay. Now behind me, I saw a boar's head up on the wall. Kind of scary. What is that all about?
So you said it's scary. It was very scary for the firefighters that met with it face to face in a fire. This was came from a working structure fire in town. It was on a wall, fell off the wall, and laid at the top of the steps. Well, the interior attack crew comes in, makes their way up to the top of the steps, and is greeted by that.
Wow.
So you can imagine what they went through their heads, and they beat feet out.
Right.
And after the fire was out, it was given to the fire company, and it's kind of the unofficial mascot.
Okay.
So it's hanging there, and the helmet's actually our fire chief's helmet.
Okay.
Unfortunately, his garage burnt, and a lot of his personal items burnt with it, but that was salvaged out and got plopped on top of its head.
It's a good story to share from generation to generation.
Absolutely.
So you never know what you're going to run into when you hit fire or even that.
That's for sure. A lot of folks will know that. You never know what you're going to come up with.
So if I were in the community, or maybe I just moved here and I want to maybe donate to the company, how can I donate either my time or my services?
Time, just stop by the firehouse. If people see cars sitting out front, they're more than welcome to come in.
Okay.
They can call the station, 717-692-2121. And if we don't answer the phone, just leave a message. We'll get back to them. And that's probably the best way.
Okay.
And we can get back and funnel the message to whoever it needs to go to, and we'll call back. And
now earlier you mentioned you have a fire tax for your township.
Yes.
Do you also do donation drives? How do you?
We don't push any kind of public relations fund drives or anything like that. Just because of the fire tax, it gets kind of weird. You're getting money taken from you via tax, so it's kind of a bad look to say, "Hey, can you give us some more money?"
Sure, I understand that.
But if people are, really want to donate, that's fine. That's great.
Right.
We're not going to turn down anything. The cost of running a fire department these days is very high, and you get an apparatus that costs $800,000 for an engine,
right?
$1 million+ for a ladder truck. It piles on after a while. Yeah.
Okay. Now this room, I've noticed some of the drag marks. You do training up here too?
Yes. So some of the condition issues with our carpet is that we do use this as a multi-purpose room. This is not just for hangouts and people to watch TV, play games, pool, cards, whatever.
Right.
For our weekly training nights, some nights we will bring dry lines up here, rearrange furniture to kind of make it into a maze to simulate an actual, living home where we might make entry instead of just running through an empty block building, like you would at Fire Academy.
Right.
It kind of makes it a little bit more realistic as much as we can for a training night.
And it's a multi-purpose room.
Yes.
It's not just used for one purpose.
Right.
When you don't have a huge space, you got to come up with some creative ideas, and doing that is a pretty good idea.
That's for sure. We've come up with a lot of different creative things to get our folks trained up properly, and the nice thing is we do have 4 or 5 actual State Fire Academy instructors that run here, so we do have the knowledge to pass along to folks. We don't really like to gatekeep knowledge. We want to pass that on to our younger members. And eventually take our place, because I'm not getting any younger.
I hear you there, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. How about we head down to the apparatus bay?
Sounds great.
And let's talk about some of your trucks.
Perfect.
All right. So this is coming back down into your apparatus bay.
Yep.
You got a bunch of trucks here.
We do.
So let's start over on the right side of your building here, and let's kind of work our way around.
That sounds good.
All right. What's the first truck we have here?
First one we have here is our utility.
Okay.
And for a long time we used this for medical assist, that sort of thing. But if you can see through the window, you see a lot of barricades and things.
Right.
So this kind of got converted to a fire police unit. People move, or if people need to go down to the local community college for classes or stuff, they can take this and take everything down through.
Before we go on to the next truck here, I noticed a train up here. Can you tell me a little bit of story about that?
So we see a melted train up here, and once upon a time there was alcohol in there. There's not anymore. We're a dry station. But there was a nearby bar called Wayne's Fairview Inn, now called Max's Bar and Grill. But that was sitting on top of the bar area. They had a fire, we were in there, put it out, and they donated that train up there. So the fun story about that is I was back up on the attack line. We're in there putting fire out. All of a sudden we started hearing music playing. Hear the jukebox turned on. I don't know if it was because of the heat or what. Right. But we're all like, hey, we got some music to put fire out by here. So that was kind of funny.
That's kind of cool that they are able to donate that. It's no longer any use for them, but it gives you guys that history that we talked about.
It's one of those conversation pieces.
Right. So what's the next truck we have here? This looks like a brush truck.
Yes, this is our attack truck. So this is mainly used for forestry calls, field fires, brush calls, that sort of thing. This does go out on structure fires if need be.
Okay.
It is 4-wheel drive. It has 250-gallon pump with calves on there, so we can kind of make it last a while with another piece of apparatus feeding it.
Okay.
Yep.
And this was an F550?
F550. This is actually Guardian made.
Okay.
Guardian used to be an E1 dealer in Harrisburg.
Okay.
And they would make smaller trucks like this.
Right.
They are no longer.
Okay.
So.
I like that it's got the spray up front too.
Yes.
We've seen that on a bunch of brush trucks up here.
What's nice is this is fully operational from in the cab. We don't have to get out. It's always in tank to pump mode.
Okay.
So all we have to do is turn the pump on in there and go to town.
Good to go.
Yep.
Next to this, you got an E1.
This is our main capital piece of apparatus, engine 20.
Okay.
This is a 2001 E1 Cyclone 2, and was actually just refurbed last year.
Okay.
In 2021 to extend the life another 15 years, hopefully.
So you bought this refurbed, or?
This is actually bought new in 2001.
Okay.
And we extended the life last year through the refurb.
Okay.
But 2,000 gallon per minute pump, CAFs, got all the bells and whistles. It's an engine rescue, so we have a full complement of AMPGUS tools on here.
Okay.
As well as other rescue tools as needed.
So where we're standing now, you have mutual aid companies that help out also. Where would those be in relation to where we're at?
Our closest ones are roughly 8 or so miles away.
Okay.
We have Berrysburg Fire Company out Route 25. We have the Reliance Hose Company #1 in Elizabethville. That's out Route 209. If we go south on 147, we have Halifax Fire Department. And if we go north on 147, we have Dalmatia, Lower Mockinoy Township, and Northumberland County.
So you're surrounded pretty well.
We're surrounded. It's going to take a little while, so we kind of have to be self-sufficient for a little bit.
Okay.
Until someone arrives to give assistance if need be.
So that brings us to this next piece. What's this one?
This would be our ladder truck, Truck 20.
Okay.
This is a 1997 Suffin.
Okay.
And this has been here since new. We bought this in 97.
Okay.
Replaced an old Telesquirt truck. It was like a 55-footer.
Okay. Now this one's kind of unique because the ladder has a bucket, but it's off the back. A lot of times I see it, hanging off the front or something like that. So, having it off the back is a unique way to kind of set it up. Maybe, if you're willing, we can maybe do a station rigs on this.
Absolutely.
All
That'd
right,
be awesome.
So you guys pay attention. We're going to take a real close look at this one, and we'll do a station rigs on this one also. Next to these, you have two front and back here. What are these?
So if you notice on the side, it says Attack 20.
Okay.
And if you notice on the windshield, it says Engine 201. So there's a funny story about this. This replaced an old 1970s GMC Attack truck, which went on everything back in the day. Got dilapidated, it needed to be replaced, so we got this. And this was pretty much the most popular rig. Pretty much everyone around us had something similar to this. But the chief at the time wanted to call it an attack truck. The county said, no, it's too big. You cannot call it an attack truck. It's an engine.
Right.
So it's designated as Engine 201.
Okay.
But the chief at the time put attack on the side of it. So hence, there's technically 2 attack trucks in our station. The real attack, and then this one.
Right. And what do we have behind that?
Behind is our tanker. That's a 2002 E1 Freightliner.
Okay.
You'll notice we're kind of an E1 house at the moment, other than the truck. But 3,100 gallon tank on the tanker there.
Okay.
And
now, are you guys part of a tanker task force, or do you guys have a lot of hydrants in your area?
we have a lot of hydrants in the more populated area in town here.
Okay.
And it's an excellent water source. Our water authority does an amazing job of keeping pressure. There's calls where I've pumped the engine and it's at idle.
Okay.
And I still have people saying, hey, can you bump the pressure down?
Wow.
I'm like, well, I'm at idle. I can't go any lower than that.
Right.
So we have an excellent water source here. But you get out into rural areas here, you need the tankers.
Okay. Now, what's the river that we passed on the way up here?
Susquehanna River, main river going straight down the middle of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we cover with our boat a good chunk of that from Halifax all the way up into Northumberland County, all the way out into Schuylkill County and the flooding times that we have with the hurricanes and whatnot.
There's a truck missing.
We have a truck missing. This would be our special unit, which tows the boat.
Okay.
Is our main medical assist piece right now. It also has an inflatable boat.
Okay.
It's kind of split between water rescue and rope rescue equipment on there. Unfortunately, they are attending a funeral right now. One of our mutual aid departments in Gratz unfortunately had a death of their president and past chief.
Oh, wow. We're sorry.
Yeah. So we're going up to honor him today. We have a crew going up there, so that's missing.
Now you mentioned you do medical also. Are you guys a QRS?
We are not a
response unit, or just a fire aid kind of thing?
Just a fire aid. We're not a licensed QRS.
Okay.
I don't know your viewers are familiar with Pennsylvania at all, but in Pennsylvania you have to be licensed by the Department of Health to do QRS, EMS, sort of things like that. So we are not, but we get called out on second due, ALS type calls, or if the ambulance is far away.
So you guys are considered those first responders. That basic set here in Pennsylvania is first responders.
Right. We do.
I see the patch on your shoulder.
We do have a number of us that are EMTs.
Okay.
Including one of our younger members that's hiding behind us right now. He actually just got off a shift with our ambulance company, which is separate from the fire department.
Okay.
Used to be combined back in prior to the 90s.
Okay.
And they kind of split off, and due to the large call volume, that EMS is typically way higher than fire.
Right. So you have some awesome and very pretty apparatus here. We covered a lot of things that you guys do, but you also have a good space. You have all your gear racks out here.
Yep, so these are actually fairly new, within the last probably 5 or so years. It used to be just, janky old little platform at the bottom and a hook kind of, but we upgraded things here and made a nice little space for our members. We also, there's only one on this side, there's more over on the other side.
Okay.
But for members of ours who serve in the military or have served in the military in the past, we have a nice little plaque that we put above their rack to kind of honor those members who have served our country in that respect as well.
I appreciate that. Serving the country is very important.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Up here you got some wheels. What are these?
So we have some wheels. They look pretty old, and they are pretty old. That's our original hose cart. From back circa 1910 or so.
Wow.
Which is one of our original pieces of apparatus.
Yeah.
Hand drawn at the time.
Okay.
The station was founded in 1884-ish, depending on who we look at and talk to.
Right.
But originally they bought a ladder cart. So we were originally called Millsboro Hook and Ladder Company back in 1884, moving forward. Went to Citizens Fire Company in 1903, and then Millsboro Fire Company #1 shortly thereafter. So that's part of that legacy going back
it's
to
cool to have.
The original.
So maybe one day you can all put it back together and put it on
We
a shelf.
occasionally do.
Okay.
Memorial Day parade when we have it. We haven't had it the last year or so for obvious reasons.
Right. Pandemic has done a lot of stuff. So
that's for sure. But we have put it together, and we'll have a couple guys, usually our younger guys that are full of vim and vigor.
Yeah, there you go.
Get the task of pulling that thing.
So it looks like you got some chains out for the weather tomorrow, maybe?
Yep, so you see all the wild and crazy forecasts out there. I've seen one saying, we're getting 2 feet of snow. Forget about that until it's about 24 hours out. Then we'll worry about it. But we are ready just in case.
Yeah.
It's looking like we're going to get some freezing rain tomorrow. So.
And where are you located specifically in Pennsylvania? If I had to explain it on a map to somebody
if you're familiar with the state capital in Harrisburg, we are approximately 18 miles north of there, right along the river.
Okay.
It takes about a half-hour drive.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania, we kind of measure miles by how long it takes to get someplace.
Right.
So we're a half hour north of Harrisburg, and everybody from Pennsylvania knows what we're talking about.
Got it. Now over here, we talked about training upstairs.
Yes.
You look like you got a brand new training device. What is this?
This is brand new. We just arrived in the last couple weeks, courtesy of one of our other assistant chiefs, Ashton Snyder. Did a great job procuring this prop. This is a forcible entry simulator.
Okay.
So we can do all manner of forcible entry, inward swinging, outward swinging. We even have lock sets in here that we can practice, picking locks.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Okay.
So we can set this up. It's movable on wheels. So if we want to simulate an entry to a working structure fire with a locked door, we can move this over to one of our doors over here. And it's going to require people to get in through forcible entry and then advance the hose line through.
Awesome thing to have.
Yes, it is pretty cool.
It's one of the things that you kind of work for and you tell people about, but until you actually force the door, it's hard to explain it.
And this one, you can set the tension on this. And let me tell you, at level 5, you're gonna sweat. Another friend of mine from the station here is also a fellow State Fire Academy instructor. We worked pretty good to get this door open on that highest setting, so
Wow.
it's a challenge.
And back here you also have a cascade system.
Yep, we have a Scott compressor and cascade system set up back here that we can fill any cylinders. It even fills the old 2200s. So we can do anybody, even though it says Scott on the front,
Right.
we can fill anybody's cylinder. We also have a gear dryer back here. That's fairly new.
Yeah.
So we don't have to have gear setting out, pulled apart, laying draped over chairs and whatnot.
Right.
That'll dry them out in a couple hours, so that's real nice.
Very cool to have. You have a very beautiful place here. Thank you for inviting us
Yes.
out. Appreciate you.
Sure thing.
So once again, this is Heroes Next Door. We just did a station cribs with Millersburg Fire Station in Pennsylvania. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe, hit that notification so we can keep bringing you more. Before I go, just want to let you know the shirt I'm wearing is what I mentioned in our last video. It's part of our store. Hit up our website at watchheroesnextdoor.com and get yourself some merch. We appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you on the next one.